go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of ASCII Anything, presented by Moser Consulting. I'm Mark Brickley. I'm a Director of Application Development at Moser Consulting, and I'm going to be your guest host for today. I'm really happy to have you listening today as we talk about some processes that are really important in the employee experience of any company. Onboarding new employees, as well as offboarding employees that have found a new opportunity that's a great fit for them. Joining myself are Janie Stryjewski and Sam Lee. Janie's also Director in Application Development and a product leader known for bringing order to chaos. Outside of work, she loves being on the water, boating, swimming, and sunshine. That is so perfect because when I think of Janie, I think of sunshine. There's also ongoing rumors of Wonder Woman being her alter ego, but we'll let you listen and decide if that's true. Sam is originally from Chicago and has been with Moser for 6 years. Sam manages both of our Indiana offices, which is a lot. We got a lot of employees in those offices. And when she's not in the office, you can find her hanging out with her dog Rory, supporting a local coffee shop, and making delicious charcuterie boards. I really hope I said that word right. A fun fact about Sam is she also makes the best espresso martini you will ever have. Thank you both for joining the show today.
I will echo what Mark has been saying. They're both great. Mark, you definitely said the word board correctly. And I would suggest that when Wonder Woman dresses up for Halloween, she dresses up as Janie.
There you go.
I think that's wise. Yeah. I think that's a good suggestion.
How about we jump right in and learn why the onboarding and offboarding processes for employees are important and learn tips for having processes that create happier and more engaged employees. Now, I'm a person who likes to think about things chronologically. So why don't we start off with the onboarding process? Sam, can you tell us why it's important to have a good onboarding process?
The new hire is really excited about this opportunity. They could be expanding their skills. Maybe they've been out of a job and they're getting back in. It could be a promotion. It really sets the tone for our company culture. We want to create a relationship where they can speak to anyone, create a safe space to fail, just a welcoming atmosphere. We want to capture their motivation to perform at a higher level. It's really just a benefit for both the employer and the new employee.
What you said there really resonates with me, Sam. I mean, I remember the 3 times I started a job, brand new out of college, then I switched careers twice, and that excitement that you have as a new employee wanting to get in there, make a difference, meet new people, maybe change industries. Like, I remember that. Janie, do you remember that?
Absolutely. And as an extrovert, that first initial meeting of people is really important to me because then it kind of tells me, who I'm going to go to or who I'm going to ask for help or ask questions of. I mean, that's why I love having Sam at the front desk, because when Sam greets you at the front desk, it's like, wow, I want to be here forever.
I get that. A big part of being happy in your job is the people that you work with, the environment that you have. So setting that tone initially is indeed really important. And Sam does a great job of it. I know, Sam, it's been 6 years since you joined Moser. Do you remember your first day and how you felt?
I do. I was really excited. Shout out to Brian Robertson. He was the first face I saw when I walked in. He did a really good job giving me a tour, making me feel comfortable, introducing me to people. It was really nice.
Brian was also my first contact with Moser, and Sam was one of the first people I met coming in. Listening to someone who has changed jobs 3 times, I have to smile because I'm in marketing. I've changed jobs a lot and not very often by my own volition. So when I'm starting a new place, it's always like, because let's face it, if anybody has been listening regularly to the podcast, you've probably gotten an inkling of the fact that I can be a lot. So, and I know that. So, like, one of the first things I'm trying to determine on my way into a place is how much of the Brian experience, for lack of a better description, are they going to get? Because I'm very much like the amplifier from Spinal Tap. I go to 11. So is this a 4 office? Is this a 2.5 office? Is this a 9 office? How much of Brian are they going to be able to experience and still want to continue experiencing it.
Yeah, I kind of think our office is a little bit more of a 6 or 7, What do you think about that?
Marketing
Uh-huh.
department is definitely like a 10 to an 11. And Melinda, my boss, is somebody who would immediately have gotten the Spinal Tap reference. We communicate often in movie quotes. It's a great spot for me.
Well, onboarding is definitely an important process. I want to ask Janie, are there any risks to having an onboarding process that's not very mature?
Absolutely. So if you don't really have a mature onboarding process and therefore there are kind of holes or gaps in it, people will instinctively create them. A lot of times, especially people who need that process, that step by step, they'll create one for themselves. Thus, you're going to end up with, 150 different processes right out the door. Again, you can fall into things like when you have all those different processes, you end up in kind of a Lord of the Flies kind of a scenario. Everyone's kind of clawing their way to the top.
I've seen that. I mean, one place that I worked, they didn't quite have a plan for me, and I kind of came in and they're like, can you do something with them? Can you do something with them? And they were like pawning me off on other people just to kind of fill the time. So it was exactly how you said it. Felt like a Lord of the Flies experience. And someone might go and go, hey, they got potential and want to like steal them for them as
Yep.
opposed to the position they actually hired in. So
Absolutely. And then that leads to that insecurity of the new employee, right? Wait a second, I hired in under this concept or this belief. That's not what I'm getting at all. So you kind of get that betrayal, feeling.
trailer, like a bait and switch type
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely. Absolutely. And so it's important that and it doesn't have to be extensive. It just has to be clear and start small, right? I mean, make sure you have these things set up that that person can feel confident and then grow from there.
They talk about like the metaphor, like, oh, it's like drinking from a fire hose. And that's a really cute metaphor. Unless you're the person in front of the fire hose, then it's panic inducing. And you're like, oh my, I am going to drown.
Exactly.
Now that we kind of talked about the importance of having an onboarding process, why don't we take a deeper dive into some of the things that get taken into account to establish that good experience for a new employee when they're onboarding? We mentioned before, Sam, you're often the first person someone sees on their first day at Moser Consulting.
Mhm.
Can you tell us some of the things that you try to have organized to help our company make a great first impression?
Yes, we try to get them set up with building access. I am at the Castleton office and the downtown office, so things are a little bit different. For example, downtown, we have to park in a parking garage. You go through security, take an elevator, whereas at Castleton, we're just a standalone building. So we want to make sure they're comfortable traveling to each office and knowing where they're going. Swag, we set them up with swag. They're representing our company. A lot of people love our Moser branded backpacks.
Oh, I definitely do. Those are high
I do.
quality.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a backpack still going 7 years later. That's a tough one there.
I know. My husband is like, is it weird if I want to carry your backpack for my work? I'm like, yes, you can't have it. We also want to make sure they have the right equipment, their laptop, and anything special to their role, whether it be a headset, a keyboard, mice, dual monitors. Want to make sure everything is ready to go. And then I always give them a tour of the building, show them where all the snacks are.
Oh, the most important part, right? The snacks. There might be one other
Obviously.
thing, the bathrooms.
Yeah. If you're downtown, you have to have your badge because our bathrooms are not in the suite. And we've had a few people forget their badge and then they get stuck. Maybe I'll take the stairwell and then it leads to nowhere because you need a badge. So I've gotten some security calls at night that people were stuck in the stairwell, which is funny.
Unless you're the person stuck in the stairwell, obviously.
Well, then it's funny once you get out. It's funny later. It's not funny in the
Correct.
moment.
Correct. Is there like a sign in the stairwell, like, in case of emergency, call Sam, badge?
There should
Maybe
be.
there should be.
There's
Like there's usually a plaque with security's number because they're right there pointing and laughing at the video screen in the security system. Like, ha, ha, they don't have their badge. Look at them. Hold on.
And then I make sure to ask security for the camera footage, just so we have it.
We need to put that on our blooper reel at the end of the season, right? Security cam footage of people locked in the stairwell.
I
Oh,
love it.
Party
Yes.
song or something. So yeah, so we definitely people need to know the facility, know where to go so that they have the things that they need. There's also aspects of like different amenities that we have with the company, and it's really important for employees to get started off with that to make sure they don't lose out on getting some of those. What kind of amenities do you help them out with, Sam?
I love to bring up one of my favorite amenities, which is our wellness bucks. So our wellness bucks is we have a reserved amount of money you can spend every quarter. I use mine on facials and massages, sometimes
Me
pedicure,
too. Me too.
gym membership, equipment. I know some of the guys use it on their golf fees, which they love. Remote workers use it for like office equipment.
I'm
But
a mani-pedi guy.
I use mine for Pilates, so I love it.
this is where I drop in my shout out to the Wellness Bucks app. Hint, hint, wink, wink. It's our in-house app that we built.
Correct. So if your company would like to make your employees happier and healthier and help support them with that, you could definitely contact our sales representatives on how you could license our wellness app to help improve your company there. Great plug there, Sam. Love it.
Shameless plug. Yep.
Shameless plug. I am sitting here wondering, so like take it a step further. Some of the things that we just talked about there, like swag, like we just talked about how great our backpack is. How would an employee feel if they were given some swag and then like the next day, basically it broke? Like it was low quality, piece of junk. Having something nice, how does that make them feel? What do you all think?
I would like blame myself, like, oh, was I
Right?
roughhousing? Is that why it broke?
You know,
You
if you're
look like the
giving me something,
roughhouser type, Samantha.
Yeah, I think when you get something like for example, like a great backpack or really nice jacket or something like that, what the company's doing is they're showing that they really value you and have a plan for you,
Absolutely.
expect you to stick around for a long time, so they're investing in it. Personally, I feel like that helps to carry over the emotions of the excitement that you have on that first day. So, like, those are great things to take into account from an employee perspective. Company might want you to get started on the job, like banging on the keyboard, but making them feel welcome is important. You'll get to the job part soon enough.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And everything that we said there, it all sounds like great things that happen at Moser. Everything there is onboarding for an employee that I would say kind of general to the company. It doesn't matter what your job is, what division you work in. The things that Sam talked about, we do for everybody. But I am curious, Janie, is there anything that we do from an onboarding standpoint that is tailored to the employee's role in the company, like the project they're going to work on, who they're going to work with? Is there anything you can elaborate on there?
Yeah, so I think it's important when you're setting up those kind of things to have a schedule. So what we have done in our kind of more individual lanes is that first 3 days are scheduled out. So when you walk in that first day, this is your schedule, and you've got that same schedule for the next 3 days. You know what you're going to do. You've got a plan. It's really important that they feel connected as soon as possible. So we try to get a lunch in for them to meet their team, to spend some time with their team, let their team kind of immerse them in what's happening, make them really feel welcome. During that first 3 days as well, they get to meet people like their team manager, the directors in their department, the VP, all people who will impact them at some point, right? So people that they need to feel care about them because they'll be impacted by them. And then on top of that, kind of saying, okay, these are some resources if you come across a problem. Your badge stops working, find office admins. You have some computer issues. This is how you get to the help desk. You got a problem with direct deposit? That is definitely not good. So go to accounting, right?
Yeah, you'll want to fix that pretty quickly, I
As
imagine.
quick as possible.
Yes, yes.
You need to set up your 401k because you're a great forward thinker. You talk to HR, and then that team manager is really important to get that connection started early. And that team manager will meet with you every day for that first little bit, just to help you say, I'm here. If you have a question, whether it's something we've already talked about or something brand new, ask, to help them feel that connection to the company and to their group. Another thing we do is we have a lot of Slack channels. Moser is definitely a Slack shop. We really use it a lot. We have ones for people who love TV shows, people who love sports, people who love, photography. There's all kinds of stuff, music, but also the teams themselves have Slack channels, and getting those people connected to the right channels is important. And then exposing them to what other groups they could possibly be a part of might help them feel connected. There's also one that talks distinctly on Mark Brickley and how we think he should have his manicures done, what designs should be on his nails, those kind of things. Yeah. So
I thought it was going to be how awesome I am, how inspirational of a leader I am,
Oh,
how
right.
great my hair looks that day, kind of the things that everybody thinks about when they think about me, right?
Synonymous.
A hill I will die on is that Mark's fingers should always be in tune with whatever national holiday is closest on the calendar. The next one up, not the one behind. It's got to be, you can't go above. It's like The Price is Right. You can't bid above. You got to go for the next one.
Uh-huh.
And that's what his manicures should always be themed.
So on Valentine's Day, we should be seeing St. Patrick's Day.
Right. So as of yesterday, got to scrape the groundhogs off, and now it's President's Day.
Exactly. I'm with you, Brian. We need to make this movement roll.
Yeah, we can maybe do that. We can maybe set up a fund for contribute to it.
And you can use the aforementioned wellness bucks.
There we go.
Did anyone see my post in Moser Pets today?
No, I'm not in Moser Pets. Did Rory get a manicure?
No, I asked ChatGPT what his job would be, and they said a barista.
Oh, I love it.
So it's a photo of him as a barista. And then I think Sarah Grady's cat is a librarian.
Oh, that's awesome.
Right. I'll do my dog later, Mark. And if it turns out that Bailey should be a nail tech, I'll get you guys in contact.
We'll hook you guys up.
Yeah, we'll get you in contact.
Nice. I actually think I'm going to go join Moser Pets right now, because who doesn't like looking at cute pictures of pets?
So true. So true.
And thinking about it, like some of the things that you were saying, Janie, oh my gosh, that picture of Boone, hysterical.
I didn't see Alex Howard's. I love when he posts his dogs.
Yes, that's pretty funny. But thinking about onboarding and some of the things that you all said, like I am going back and thinking about, one of my experiences, and we have to go to the Wayback Machine for this, because this was all the way in the 1900s when I was in college and had a co-op. And I remembered like I had interviewed with this company, was super excited because the guy who interviewed me was someone who I felt like this is a really good person. Like I really respect them. I want to work for them. Then I showed it for the first day and I wasn't working with them at all. Like I felt like that bait and switch. Mm-hmm. And then also like they didn't really have as much of that plan for me, as far as stuff like they didn't have me set up in the time tracking app. Like we had one that we had to do as well. I wasn't invited to meetings. So things would happen and I would still be at my desk and then people would run back and grab me. So some of these things that you all are saying about making sure that you have a plan for somebody really resonates, because I remember how I felt. I felt like I was an afterthought, not a valuable member of the plan or the company.
And I will say, Mark, my experience coming into Moser was I opened my email for the very first time and already had meetings on my calendar. And that was powerful for me. So I agree. When you're kind of an afterthought, it makes a difference.
Part of it is like we talked about, some things that Sam and our HR department does for anybody in the company. Janie talked about people who are, in a particular division, like what is your team responsible for that you're going to be working with? Is there anything that's just kind of part of the company culture that everybody's responsible for in the onboarding process?
There are things we all have to do when a new person comes on board. So it's really important that we all help make that person feel welcome, right? So as you can probably see, I'm a little more outgoing. So if I see someone in the building that I don't know, I will walk right up to them and say, "Hey, I'm Janie. Nice to meet you." So I want them to know that once you're here, we want you here. You're welcome. And I know that not everyone is an extrovert. So, like Brian said, sometimes you have to read the room, right? So, I try not to be too overwhelming at the same time, but I think it's important that we let people know that we're excited to have them there. So that's a big piece.
I can't start my day without a hug from Janie.
And I feel the same about Sam.
Well, thanks a lot, you two. I really feel appreciated here, I have to say. But
Yeah, I thought my time at Moser had been pretty great so far, but it turns out I haven't had a single good day yet.
Well, you know what, Mark? We would give you more hugs if your fingernails were, bedazzled.
I'll look into that. I'll have my nails match my wonderful personality in that.
That's right. That's right.
So the world we're living in now is different than what it was like 5 years ago. COVID definitely changed a lot of things. When it comes to jobs now, there's a lot of jobs that are just remote, some are hybrid. I'm really kind of wondering, like, nowadays, what are you all seeing? How does the prevalence of remote and hybrid positions impact the onboarding process?
Funnily enough, is funnily a word? I
Funnily,
don't
I was
know.
wondering, I don't think that's a word, but
We're
I've
gonna
heard
we're gonna
that
go with
It
it
is.
anyway. I can
Yep.
make up whatever word I want.
correct.
Funnily enough.
Those are some of
Totally,
the best words, the words that are
totally a word.
like,
Totally a word.
yeah,
Totally a
frustrated
word.
is one I use. Flustered and frustrated at the same time.
Uh-huh.
Frustrated, so you can use funnily. Even though it
Funnily
sounds like
enough.
I'm
There we
pouring
go.
something in a beer bong at the time, if it's funnily, but
You
go ahead.
funnel it to help you drink from the fire hose.
Yes.
There you
Yes,
go.
exactly. Exactly.
Love the callback there, Brian. You might have a future in comedy. Go ahead, Jamie.
Uh, So I actually came on board with Moser during COVID. So like at the very kind of middle part where nobody was going in, you didn't interview in person, none of that. And it was probably a month or two at least before I met anyone in person, which was an interesting thing, right? Because that's the first time I'd ever done that. Again, I am from the 1900s. So my first interview was back when you had to go in and all of that. So, so that was the first time that happened to me. But Moser did a really good job at creating that environment of like what we're doing here, that bondedness through technology. Now, what I think is important is in IT, you tend to have more introverted people who want to put their hand up over the camera so you can't see them. And I can respect that, but I think it's important to actually get to see people. So even in that process, you kind of have to tailor it to them, but also let them know what your expectation is in return as a company. Because if you make them feel like they never have to be on camera or they never have to come in, then you can't change that midstream. You can't, like, it's harder to change that midstream. So being upfront and straightforward about, hey, we're going to have a meeting. We'd like you to have your camera on. Those kind of things are important that you speak about upfront. One of the nice things, though, about that, too, is that we've been able to expand that search for people and find the perfect people for that role and let them kind of move as well as needed. So there's some benefit there.
There is an aspect that could be counterintuitive because definitely people in IT get a little bit of bad rap about like how we're all introverted and weird and things like that. But what happens is everybody's more accepting, right?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Because we all have our own weird. So it's a matter of other people get your weird. And that's what makes it a great place and good people to work with. So appreciate everybody in this
Absolutely.
call. You all get my weird.
Yeah. If I'm going to expect people to, for lack of a better description, withstand me, if that amount of grace is being extended to me, what kind of just complete jerk would I be to not then extend it
To
back?
them.
And
Hmm.
there are people like that, but if I'm expecting that, if I'm expecting or enjoying or receiving that level of grace, it's only fitting that I extend an equal amount to others.
I
So
100% agree, Brian.
We've definitely had a lot of good conversation on the onboarding process, and it's definitely very important, as well as the process when employees are here. But why don't we do a switch over here and kind of talk about offboarding? I'm definitely a fan of the quote from Sir Richard Branson, which is train people well enough so they can leave, but treat them well enough so they don't want to. Okay, the reality is some people might have a great opportunity. Maybe it pays more, you're with family, maybe you can relocate. There's lots of different reasons why people might leave. And when they do, you want your offboarding process to be something that is also a pleasant feeling. Sam, can you tell us why it's important to have a good offboarding process?
Yes, we want our employees to leave with a good feeling and just think about all of the value they added to our company. Their future job might not work out. They may come back. They might have a friend looking for a position that we have the perfect role for them, and we want them to recommend us. And since we are in consulting, they could even be a future client of ours.
Yeah, all of those things you just said, Sam, are things that have happened. We've had a number of employees leave the company and come back. Actually, I heard today there's an employee who left a couple years ago. It was a great opportunity to work with her husband, and she's actually coming back. Also referring, that's one of the things that makes the culture here at Moser so great is so many people are referrals that if you're willing to put your name out there and say, hey, this is a good employee, someone who does good work, someone I like working with, that definitely carries some weight there. And definitely we've had people leave and become a future client. Some of our clients, current clients, actually like to recruit some of our consultants because they've done such a great job. They said, hey, we want you to work for us. And then they became a shepherd and a steward for Moser Consulting at that company. I mean, all that sounded on point, Sam. I love that. I'm going to segue over to Janie here. When thinking about that offboarding process, what are some of the most important things to do for an employee?
So I think it's important that we proactively inform the client and even the team that that person is working with to kind of figure out what that transition is going to look like, right? Because especially in consulting, we don't want our clients to feel like, zoink, too bad. We want that transition to feel good, both for the employee who's leaving, because they get connected to their clients, to the people that they work with, and they really do want them to be successful. So you want that transition. You make sure that there's a process for that equipment to come back, both for Moser as well as for the clients if they have any of the clients' devices. Once everything is said and done and they've done their exit interview and we've been able to get some of their feedback, which is really kind of important, that all happens and we can make sure that they don't have building access and that we've removed their software licenses and logins to systems. All of that stuff needs to happen as well.
Yeah, I've definitely heard of horror stories in the news of other companies where they forgot to like terminate an employee's access. So they go in and they have access to the systems and the data and can change things. That could be a big security risk right there.
Absolutely.
As well as software licenses. Like if you're paying $1,000 or $2,000 a year for an employee that isn't even at the company, I mean, that adds up. So that right there, if people are thinking about what's my return on investment in an onboarding and offboarding process, you should be able to get it from your happier employees who work better. But if you're not looking at that aspect, those are dollars right there that says it's
Hmm.
worth putting the time in to save on things like licenses and what type of ways that you're opening yourself up for lawsuits, for example, people still have access. Is there anything else that we do?
On a happy note, as people, as a company, we get to be close, with the people that we work with. We do spend a lot of time together. So when someone leaves, it's like a friend leaving. So you want to have some way to celebrate that and celebrate them and what they've given and how grateful we are for what they were contributing to us. So a lot of times we'll do farewell lunches. Sometimes there's a few people there, sometimes there's a lot, like it depends on scheduling and all of that. But it's really important that we show that we're thankful that for what they gave to Moser while they were here.
Whether it's Moser or previous employers, I had some going away lunches where even if it was just pizza, getting everybody in a
Mm-hmm.
conference room together and talking about the good times is really important. It's
Yeah.
actually a something that's done in app design. It's called the peak in rule from psychological experiments that a lot of people in their experiences, what they remember is the highest point, the lowest point, and then how it ended. So that farewell lunch is creating that great feeling at the end of your experience. So coupling that with your favorite memory, that's what they're going to remember. And like Sam said before, they might want to come back or refer a friend. That farewell lunch just sounds super important in theory, but also I know from my own experience there. Now, we definitely said there's a lot of things there on an offboarding process. There's a couple things that people might forget, like we mentioned, turning off software licenses. Is there anything we've forgotten so far, Janie?
There is one thing that people sometimes forget, and it's
Uh-oh.
kind of important.
Yeah, I'm
You know,
looking at your face there, Janie. I think this is kind of bad if they forget it. Tell me,
so bad if they forget it. So
tell me what
bad.
it is.
It is they forget to submit their final timesheet.
Ooh,
Oh,
yeah,
so once that they want to get paid, obviously, for the days that they worked. Everyone does.
yeah.
And the problem then becomes if they haven't filled that out and submitted it before their access is turned off, then there's all kinds of hoops that have to be jumped through, and it just gets real complicated. So
Yeah, people generally, you don't want to mess with their money and you don't want them to mess with ours either. So, life
exactly.
lesson, make sure anything that affects your paycheck, you have all of the I's dotted and the T's crossed before you head out.
Absolutely.
I think that's a really important tip. And with that, I'd like to thank Janie and Sam again for being on our show today. We
Thank
definitely
you,
had some,
Mark, for having us.
oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. I always enjoy hanging out with you two. As you
Awesome.
We definitely had some great discussions, and hopefully, these are things that can help other companies foster a great employee culture through their onboarding and offboarding processes. Definitely had fun. I hope I can convince you all to be on another episode with me in the future. So, thank you all. And also, I'd like to thank our listeners for listening to this week's edition of ASCII Anything presented by Moser Consulting. We hope you enjoyed listening to Janie and Sam talking about important aspects of an employee onboarding and offboarding experience. Be sure to join us next time as we dive even deeper into our resident experts and what they're currently working on. Don't forget to share your ideas or topics with us on social media. In the meantime, please remember to give us a rating and subscribe to our feed wherever you get your podcasts. Until then, so long, everybody. Go.